Good evening, everyone. My name is Judy Monroe, and I'm the chair of the Best in Class Case Competition Organizing Committee. And I'd first of all like to welcome all of you on behalf of the Toronto chapter of the Financial Executives International Canada. We're very proud to be partnering with Business Education in Canada to present the 4th annual Best in Class Invitational MBA Case Competition. And I want to thank all of you for joining us to honor this year's winning team this evening. For those of you who don't know us, the Financial Executives International is a nonprofit organization of senior financial executives of medium to large companies. We have over 16,000 members in North America, 2,100 in Canada, across 11 chapters in the country. Toronto chapter is the largest, with 700 members strong. We're a networking and advocacy organization. We hold a national conference, and our winning team tonight will be invited to join us for our national conference next June in Victoria. We also sponsor the CFO of the Year Awards. We have a research foundation. We have monthly dinner meetings, technical sessions, and publish a monthly magazine. The Best in Class MBA Case Competition is our latest initiative and is now in its 4th year. Best in Class is an initiative which I spearheaded almost 4 years ago when I was then president of the FEI Toronto chapter. We had an embarrassment of riches in Toronto chapter. We had a surplus of cash. And I approached Schulich and Rotman with the idea of doing a case competition, and they enthusiastically embraced it. We formed a volunteer committee of FEI Toronto chapter members, some of whom you've met today and will see tonight, to launch the Best in Class in 2006 at the Schulich School of Business with 4 business schools. The following year, we expanded the competition to 8 MBA schools across Canada, and then last year to 10. We're delighted to welcome as first-time competitors this year the DeGroote School of Management from McMaster University, the Sprott School of Business from Carleton University, and of course our host school, the Ted Rogers School of Management at Ryerson University. Our objective was to strengthen the relationship between FEI and the academic community and to introduce the business school students, our country's future business leaders, to our organization, and lever our many corporate relationships to provide students with a unique educational experience they could not get in the classroom. Our competition is unique, it's live, it's real time, and it's meant to assimilate the challenges of everyday business. Participation in the competition is by invitation only to the top-ranked schools in Canada, and it's an opportunity for Canada's best and brightest to showcase their talent, and hence the name Best in Class. Without further ado, I take great pleasure in, first of all, introducing you to the Dean of our host school, Dean Ken Jones from the Ted Rogers School of Management. Dr. Ken Jones is the Dean of the Ted Rogers School of Management at Ryerson University. Dr. Jones has earned an international reputation for his expertise in retail research and business geomatics. Is that a word? He founded and directed the Center for the Study of Commercial Development, a world-renowned not-for-profit research center at Ryerson's Ted Rogers School of Management that provides information and analysis to Canada's commercial and retail industries. In his current role as Dean, Ted Rogers School of Management, Dr. Jones leads Canada's largest undergraduate business school. Located on Bay Street in the heart of Toronto's business community, the Ted Rogers School of Management at Ryerson is recognized for its innovative programs and for producing students who are immediately able to contribute to Canadian business. The Ted Rogers School of Management focuses on relevant education that is grounded in contemporary applied business practice. The faculty's undergraduate Bachelor of Commerce programs are grouped into the schools of Business Management, Information Technology Management, Hospitality and Tourism Management, and Retail Management. Graduate studies are also offered and consist of a broad-based Master of Business Administrative MBA program with an international focus and an MBA and the Master of Management Science in the Management of Technology and Innovation program. In addition to its innovative and solid curriculum, Research is a primary focus within the Ted Rogers School of Management. Professor Jones holds an MA and a PhD from York University and has published extensively, including 3 books that have examined the contemporary retail environment in Canada: Specialty Retailing in the Inner City, Location, 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 and the Retail Environment. Ken has contributed chapters for a variety of university texts and has been published in many professional journals. These works have discussed issues associated with retail site selection methodologies, market area analysis, retail corporate concentration, e-commerce, and future trends associated with Canadian retailing. In addition to his activities as researcher, Ken has been a consultant in numerous retail chains, financial institutions, and shopping center developers on aspects of store network planning, sales forecasting, market area evaluation, and site evaluation. He shares his expertise in his role as a guest lecturer and presenter to professional and academic audiences on leading-edge topics that relate to the emerging retail economy. Dr. Jones served as the Eaton Chair in Retailing from 1995 to 2005. Sorry, I don't know what this is, Ken, you'll have to explain. The NCERC, SSHRC, Chair in the Management of Technological Change in Retail from 1996 to 2006, the Director of the Ontario Retail Sector Strategy Project, and Project Leader for Geomatics for Informed Decisions, networks of centers of excellence where he was responsible for coordinating the research activities of several universities. He was a member of an appraisals committee for the Ontario Council on Graduate Studies, which was responsible for reviewing all graduate programs in business in the province. In addition, Dr. Jones served on both the Research Management Committee and the Board of GOI NCI, and currently is a director of the Canadian Federation of Business School Deans. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Dr. Ken Jones.
Judy, thank you very much. I haven't been introduced like that for a long time, so that was my academic background. Now I'm a dean. Let me first of all say, Judy, that the Ted Rogers School of Management was delighted to host the 4th annual Best in Class case competition and to welcome the 9 teams from across Canada. It was really a pleasure for our school to do that. We hope that you enjoyed the venue, and we hope you enjoyed our hospitality. I must acknowledge, and you did earlier today, the work of our support staff. Rita Lingner and Patrick Dingle are just superb people in my school, and they are outstanding individuals, and I hope they made you feel welcome and did all the logistic work to make the conference go on. And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Dale Carl, who was really our lead academic liaison with FEI. So Dale, thank you very much for all your work. As Judy said, we're a very large school. We have 8,000 undergraduates, and this is the 11th week of class. And I must say that they gave up their study space for today and Friday to the MBA students, and that was no small accomplishment. So I probably have taken a lot of heat from that, or will with student appeals, but I hope I don't. But I think we should acknowledge our undergraduates for giving up their space to these wonderful MBA students. I came to the afternoon today, and I was struck by the professionalism of the presentations. I got to see 4 of the acknowledged teams, and I was really very impressed with how they handled the pressure, but also to prepare that material in less than a couple of hours was really remarkable. I don't think I could have done that. Probably my computer skills aren't good enough anymore, but they were really amazing presentations. I acknowledged all the Greek leaders, from Socrates to Archimedes to Plato. Was Plato there? I'm not sure, but the group of leaders where I was just very impressed from the various schools. I was also impressed, and I'm glad I wasn't a judge, so I knew a couple of the judges, in particular a good friend of Ryerson's, the Honorable Michael Tulik. And Michael, thank you for joining us today. You made a huge impact, and thank you for taking time out of your, I know, extremely busy schedule. So Michael, thank you very much. I'd also like to thank the group from Tim Hortons, Don Schroeder and his team. I mean, it's always difficult when you put your company up for scrutiny. Don, I'd like to tell you that when I do become an ex-dean, I'd really like to run your Tim Hortons franchise in our school. I think that is one of the most profitable pieces of real estate in the country because I see our students there every day. So if I can work out a deal with you, I'd be, but I think Aramark has something to do with that. But we really appreciate the Tim Horton people to be here. They've been at our school earlier this year, and you're really a partner with our students, and I thank you for being here and really giving your company as a case. So thank you so much for that. I'd also like to, and this is a time of thanks, I know how much time it takes for faculty advisors to really participate in this. These are sort of the unheralded individuals. And in some cases it's a dean. I gather, Paul, you were the advisor, and for a dean to actually do that is really outstanding and extraordinary. I don't know where you get the time, Paul, but well done. And I know David, thank you. I mean, that is... I know a dean's work, and for Paul to do that, I really acknowledge your commitment to students and to the University of DeGroote. And I know David is here from St. Mary's, David Wicks. Thank you, David. Where are you? But the actual event wouldn't have taken place, I don't think, without the sponsors, and this is a very difficult economic climate. We all know that. But for the National Post, and they've been very supportive of my school over the last year, but also Xerox Canada, McKinsey put on a great event last night, and Ryan Property Tax Services. We thank you for your financial contributions to make this work, because without your support, we wouldn't have this dinner, we wouldn't have had this reception, and we wouldn't have had this event. So I thank you very much for that. And FEI really runs through volunteers, and I know there are a number are here. Without volunteers, I mean, our society doesn't work. And one thing about business is they give back. And that's a really important part of the business community, which is under-recognized. But volunteerism from the business community makes this country work. It really adds a huge dimension to what we do as Canadians. So for all the volunteers here, thank you for your time. You've been here a couple of days, and you've given up of time with your family, time with your business, and just free time, which none of us have. So thank you very much for that. And I guess what we're really talking about here is our future leaders. And these competitions really do provide an opportunity for students from across the country, from different universities with different cultures. And let's face it, our universities have different cultures. The Queen's culture is different from the Sauder culture, which is different from the Sobey culture, which is different from the culture at Ivy. And for you to get together, 4 or 5 of you, for a weekend, and simply to interact, and yes, to compete, but that networking opportunity hopefully will last a long, long time. So that's what I think this competition is all about. It's networking, it's getting to know one another, and really sharing ideas for some of the top business students in this country. So I thank FEI for the opportunity, and thank you for coming to the Ted Rogers School of Management. Enjoy the meal.
On behalf of the Financial Executives International Toronto Chapter, Dr. Jones, I would like to thank you for the use of your facility and for being with us here this evening.
Come back anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to call upon now my colleague Bill Hewitt, who has a few words to talk to us about these great hallowed hall, the Great Hall of Hart House.
Thanks, Judy. And I put together a speech. You can see it's a binder, not quite as big as the one you got for the Case Company, but I'm going to draw some pages from it. Indeed, it is a hallowed hall. Quickly going through some of the history, it was built between the years 1911 and 1919 by the estate of Hart Allerin Massey, of the famous Massey Harris fortune, a family that lived and resided just in the Cobourg area east of Toronto. the grandson, Vincent Massey, his picture is just up on your right, the extreme right behind me, was a don at Victoria College, one of the federated universities now in the University of Toronto, and really felt sincerely that the university needed some place that expressed the collegiality of a university. And in 1925, after the construction of this building, because it was interrupted by World War I, the premises were sequestered for the war effort, for both as a hospital and for wartime training. His idea was that the university needed a place for the professional enjoyment and the benefit of all men and women who shall be members, graduate as well as undergraduates of the university. The architects of the house were Henry Sproat and Ernest Ross, and they went on to do other great buildings as well. I'll now highlight some of the great physical features in this hall. Behind the registration desk, I don't know whether you saw it or not, but behind where Louis Boel was registering is really the dedication plaque for the evening, and it's really basically a prayer. And the prayer runs that this house, the undergraduate, under the guidance rather of the warden, may serve in the generations to come the highest interests of the university by drawing into the common fellowship the members of several colleges and faculties by gathering into a society the teacher, the student, the graduate, the undergraduate. Further, that the members of Hart House may discover within these walls the true education that is to be found in good fellowship and friendly disputation and in debate and conversation of wise and earnest men and women in music, pictures, the play, the casual book, sports, games, and mastery of the body. And lastly, just as in the days of the war when the house was devoted to training of arms of the young soldier, so in the time of peace its halls may be dedicated to the task of arming youth with strength and suppleness of limb, with clarity of mind and depth of understanding, with the spirit of true religion and high endeavor. I think the main part is the spirit of high endeavor, and that's why we're all here tonight. It's a very unique organization. It's governed by the student body of the university. Its the principal administrative officer is a warden, and through the warden we have two key committees, a house committee and really club committees. The building is a diversity of facilities. Let me go quickly through some of these facilities. Directly under the quadrangle, behind where we had the cocktail party, is a theater. The theater has a seating capacity of 500, started the careers of many Canadian legendary actors, including Raymond Massey, which is a relative of Vincent Massey, a former Governor General of Canada. Jane Mallett, you've heard of the Jane Mallett Theatre. Wayne and Schuster earned their spurs in the Hart House Theatre. William Hutt, Stratford fame. Norman Jewison, who became a great movie producer, Moonstruck and The Fiddler on a Roof, for example, and just retiring as Chancellor of Victoria University, one of the federated universities. Frank Pepiot, these are two you might not have heard of, but they're hilarious names. Frank Pepiot was one of the authors of Hee Haw, and of course Charlie Farquharson is another one of great fame. Anyway, Lorne Michaels would be a current member who went through Hart House Theatre. Lorne Michaels is the author and creator of Saturday Night Live. And that's just gone on and on and on in terms of what talent has been generated just below that quadrangle of grass behind us. Notable visitors, Dwight Eisenhower, Ronald Reagan, John Kennedy, Stephen Leacock, Henry Moore, the sculptor, John Kenneth Galbraith, King George VI, Queen Elizabeth, and many, many others. The hall itself, let me just quickly describe some of the physical features. It's about 15 meters by 45 meters. To my right is the south end, and to my left is the north end. And let me describe some of the character. It starts with a travertine floor, which is just basically a marble floor filled. On the north wall, which is the wall with the flags above it, are 74 panels bearing the 74 arms of universities of the Allied nations circa 1925 when the hall was dedicated. On the south wall, you have a series of plaques, 51 panels, in 2 rows of 12, and a third row of 1 each in the left and right. Basically, those panels are the coats of arms around the royal family coats of arms of the universities, the 51 universities in Canada in 1925. So if your university was in existence in 1925, your coat of arms is on the wall to the south. Starting up the wall, the oak panels, you'll see an inscription just below the cornice molding. The inscription, it looks kind of strange and it's a long read. That is a very interesting piece of work. It was a piece of prose written in November 23rd, 1644 by John Milton when he was a member of Parliament and he was debating in his own mind whether to make a speech in Parliament or to write a pamphlet. He committed to write a pamphlet, and the pamphlet was to plea. It's called Areopagita. It was a pamphlet printed for presentation in the Parliament of England in 1644, and it's amongst history's most famous and most influential and passionate pieces of prose in defense of the principles of free speech, which at the time there was a movement in the British Parliament to induce censorship, to I guess, quell some of the open voices against some of the parliamentary actions. The original speech, or the original name for the speech, was named after the Athenian orator Isocrates, and of course named after one of the hills in Athens. John Milton was a big supporter of free speech in Parliament and argued forcibly against the licensing order of 1643, noting that censorship had never been a part of classical Greek and Roman society and it shouldn't start in British Parliament. Anyway, it's a wonderful piece of prose. You can do quickly some internet research, and it's there. If you can't get it, I've got it in verbatim with me here. The 10 portraits are the 10 portraits of the wardens, starting with Vincent Massey at that end. That is to your right, looking at me. At the end was the warden when I was here at the University of Toronto, Joe McCauley. Going across behind you against the stained glass windows, similarly with the recently retired warden and the first woman warden, Margaret Hancock. The current warden is also a woman, and one of the photographs, for example, one of the photographs just against the east wall is none other than Nicholas Ignatieff. He was a warden in 1947-1952, and he was an uncle of the current leader of the Liberal Party of Canada. So just pointing out, a small world, and the Ignatieff family were part of Russian royalty, and not royalty, but near royalty, part of Russian aristocracy. And he's written a great book, by the way, a family genealogy. The stained glass windows bear the coats of arms of the certain founders and beneficiaries of the university. They're hard to see at the moment, but they are certainly a tribute to the university. And one of the best descriptive comments of all, I could talk about the vaulted ceiling and the cornices and the woodwork, but I thought the best of all descriptions came 2 years ago when we had the very same reception just outside, and I asked one of the students, I think it was a Western student, Western Canadian student, well, what do you think? And he looked at me squarely in the eyes and said, "This place is really neat. It's sort of like being in a Harry Potter movie." I thought that's about the best way I could describe this place. Anyway, welcome all to Hart House, a place of great history, and enjoy your evening. I'll have some more remarks later about Case Company and the wonderful day they presented to us. Thank you all.
And we will now get on with the formal part of our evening, the announcement of our winners. But before I do that, I think as you can all appreciate, an event like we put on over the last 2 days doesn't happen by itself. I have an awful lot of people I need to thank, and I'd like to take a moment to do that if I may. First of all, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Ryan Property Tax Services and Xerox, for your financial support, without which we would not be able to put this on this year. I'd also like to thank McKinsey & Company, who did a wonderful job last night hosting the dinner for our visiting deans and faculty from our participating schools. Thank you to McKinsey. It was a very interesting and thought-provoking evening. I'd also like to thank our distinguished panel of judges who took time from their very busy schedules to be with us today. Some of them are here today, many of them are not, as they are very busy people, so thank you for being here today. I'd also like to thank our student participants, the true stars tonight, for their energy, their enthusiasm, and their inspiration. thank you to everyone who was part of that today. And our case company, Tim Hortons, a made-in-Canada success story that makes us all very proud. Thank you. And I'd also like to thank the Ted Rogers School of Management for the use of their magnificent facility. And I'd like to give a special thanks to Dale Carl, the MBA Program Director. Dale, if you would join me up here, I have something for you. Patrick Dingle, our event coordinator, and Irene Campagna, the assistant to the dean, who were all very, very helpful in making this happen today.
Thank you, Judy. It was a pleasure meeting all of you. Good luck.
And I'd also like to thank all the MBA school deans, assistant deans, faculty, and alumni who've joined us here tonight in support of their student teams. Thank you for being here. And of course, our Toronto chapter volunteers who assisted with the logistics over the weekend. Thank you to all of them. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my colleagues in the Best in Class Organizing Committee for their tireless volunteer hours over the past year. Believe it or not, this event does start planning probably tomorrow when we debrief on how we did this year. I'd like to call them all up here to the podium to be recognized. Bill Hewitt, Frank Hayes, Leslie Marco, Noel Multiple, Mark Walsh, and our Toronto chapter administrator, my right arm, Liz Bowell. These are the people that really made it happen this weekend. Thank you. I'd just like to say I could not be more proud of what our small volunteer committee has been able to do in the past 4 years. These are the people, and it is a small committee, and we have a lot of work, and we managed to do it again the 4th year in a row. Thank you all. I'd now like to call upon my colleague Bill Hewitt. He's going to formally introduce the CEO of our case company, Tim Hortons, Mr. Don Schroeder.
Thanks very much, Judy. A couple of things before I do, and they're really not in the script, but I think they're worthwhile. In due respect, as a historian, the plaque, the royal family plaque at the south end of the room, and does not have surrounding it Canadian universities. Upper left, starting at say 10 o'clock, Oxford, to the right Cambridge, what else, right? Oxford, Cambridge, and lower left London, and lower right Birmingham. So other than that, all the other plaques are Canadian universities. I also wanted to say this place is a testimonial as to what money and people with social responsibility feelings can do. And I just have a fond wish, if as and when some or all of you make a lot of money, this is what you can do for your university and your community. And just think of the fellowship and memories that you've had here tonight, and this is really what collegiality and free thinking is all about. Having said that, one of the last great conversations I had with the chairman of the board of Tim Hortons, as a matter of fact, was right here in this room when he was retiring as the interim president of the University of Toronto. I remember standing at the very time next to Rosie Abella, who at the time just retired from the Supreme Court as well. So this is a place where you meet wonderful people, thinking people, just fine, great folks. And this room is a testimonial to it. I want to say as well how privileged we have been and continue to be for having Tim Hortons. You all articulated well Tim Hortons as a company. Tim Hortons is a massive cash generating machine, and we all know that money attracts a lot of attention. The cash they're generating, every bank in the world wants to have some of that cash invested in their accounts, and every investment banker in the world wants to lever up Tim Hortons' balance sheet. They are highly sought after. Some of you pointed out as well that they need to do more in shareholder relations. Well, they already do a good deal in shareholder relations. The stock is already well recognized, but that's the financial services community. Your Case company is well sought after and well respected in the world of high finance. And we're very privileged to have people and a company of that nature and the people who gave their weekend to us for this case. And having said that, I'm going to turn now to the chief spokesman for that company who speak for his people, Don Schroeder. Don was appointed President and Chief Executive Officer of Tim Hortons, Inc. in March 2008 and is a member of the Board of Directors. He joined Tim's in 1991, has held several positions within the company, including Executive Vice President of Administration, responsible for manufacturing, coffee purchasing, distribution, real estate and construction, human resources, legal, VP Human Resources, international development, and assumed the role of General Counsel, Corporate Secretary, and Chief Compliance Officer. So he's had a very broad background in business administration, and he heard some of those disciplines from all of you today. And he's also a testimonial to what modern business likes to do. Move them around, test them in various places, give them various challenges to see whether they can deliver and bear up under the pressure, the kind of pressure that you all were forced to deal with this afternoon. Under Mr. Schroeder's leadership, Tim Hortons Coffee Program was formed. The Growers Program, their families in Guatemala, Brazil, and Colombia benefit from these programs and offer assistance and technical training on environmental management, proper farming techniques to improve the quantity and quality of coffee produced. You know, I was on a project a number of years ago in Cuba to look at some areas that were coffee plantations and whether they should be conscripted to be made into a national park as marginal land. And it's great that you've all heard a lot about governance and socially responsible investing. Here's a company practicing such without being reminded to do so. They're looking at reliable supply sources, and Mr. Schroeder is a model of implementation of programs like that. Born in Oakville, 1946, he's a youngster. He graduated from the University of Western Ontario, Bachelor of Laws, 69, and Master of Laws from Osgoode Hall in 78. Following a call to the bar in 71, he practiced corporate and commercial income tax law in Hamilton with the law firm of Schroeder and Hawkins. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Tim Hortons tonight, Don Schroeder.
Thank you, Bill. And next time you talk to Frank Iacobucci, maybe you can convince him to release some of that, or those bags of money for executive compensation, which is an issue. In any event, the first thing I want to do is just give you a little update on that crisis situation that I outlined for you earlier this afternoon. We have identified the source of the contamination. Apparently, we were inadvertently shipped a couple of cases of Starbucks coffee. So. And before I get started, I want to make a deal with you, Dean Jones. In terms of that store at the university, I've got a real deal for you. When you retire, I'll get you that store. And before I retire, you need to help me get my business degree, which I didn't complete before I went to law school 40 years ago. And based on the quality of the students today, I don't have a hope if I go back to get it. So I really do want to thank the Toronto chapter of FEI for giving us the opportunity to be here with you yesterday and today, and to meet and hear from clearly the future business leaders. We had the opportunity again to see them today and hear what they had to say. So clearly I believe that they will play a key role in forming the new economic era that we're about to enter upon and help shape whatever shape it ultimately takes. You are clearly the best minds, supported by the best training that Canada has to offer the world. And again, you confirmed that today in the way that you handled yourself in dealing with that case study about Tim Hortons. I believe that first-rank talent will always find a voice, find its place, and ultimately make its mark. And over the last 18 months, I believe we've all seen that effective business leadership is a difficult challenge to rise to. But it still remains a tremendous calling for young people like yourselves, gifted with intellect, purpose, and vision. Now, unfortunately, only one of the teams is going to go home today with the trophy for Best in Class. But having watched all the presentations today, I was truly impressed, and I think you all should be congratulated for a job well done. So I think you should give yourself a round of applause, and we should as well. Now, you're all about to enter upon a career path, the ultimate destination of which is likely unknown. But clearly the opportunities and the choices available to you are unlimited. You've already chosen to commit yourselves to the leadership of economics and business, and by extension, to the leadership of our collective social and political realities. And that's significant. Why? Well, over the course of your recent master's work, the world and economic crisis has been your real case study. And you've had the very unique and privileged position of being able to examine that meltdown in real time and from the eye of the storm. And throughout all of that global anxiety, only one thing has remained clear. Things will never be the same again. Generations of MBA students to come will write their dissertations about what you've just experienced firsthand. You will be among the first business thinkers whose lives and experience will really straddle these two economic eras. And if that sounds like a daunting responsibility, it truly is. And I know, because I had the luck of getting this position just before the proverbial you-know-what hit the fan. But what I did then is the same thing that I've always done when I get concerned about the pressures and expectations of executive leadership. I go back to basics. I go back to the things that built the foundation for my personal judgment. And I don't mean my academic education, my training as a lawyer, even the number of years that I've had as a store owner within the Tim Hortons system, or the various roles that Bill described. But I go back to my truly formative years when I was a janitor. And that's, as corny as that may sound, I carried the experience with me every day. I was the youngest of 7 children of immigrants to Canada, and I wanted to help contribute to the family welfare. I was a teenager, I was in high school, and most importantly, if I was ever going to get a date, I needed some spending money. So pushing a broom after class seemed like the obvious choice. But I found what was really of value was not the $12.75 cash that I got every Friday, and $5 of which I gave to my mother, along with my brothers and sisters, and was happy to do that, to contribute. But the real lasting value was in the relationship that I built with the head janitor. He was practical, he was straightforward, and if you provided him good work and reliable work, then you earned his respect. And I was surprised how much gaining his self-respect became so tied to my own self-respect. He showed a genuine interest in me and what I was doing, and in return, I was determined never to let him down. If he needed me to go the extra mile, I was going to be there for him. We worked side by side, but more importantly, we worked together. And that was a real good feeling. And I don't think it was unlike the feeling that all of you had today working as part of the team in doing your presentations. And I've never forgot that feeling. And it's a feeling that I try to create across the entire Tim Hortons organization, with our corporate team, with our family of store owners, and now with the poor growers of coffee in Central and South America who are now part of our extended family. Now, you may have seen the ad on television recently, and I'm in it, but so that's one of the faces. But the faces, if you see that commercial again, I hope you'll look at the faces of those coffee growers in Guatemala. Clearly, they don't have the sophistication of affluent, media-savvy North Americans. But if you watch it, you'll see a spark in their eyes. And I've witnessed it firsthand when we filmed that, but I am continually amazed and moved every time I watch it, because you can see that look of entrepreneurial excitement and the obvious thrill of realizing their dreams are about to come true, that they're going to become businessmen. And I know that their glow of self-discovery, sense of purpose, and drive to learn would not be out of place in any of your tutorials at any of your schools. So your professors, your instructors, and your own personal commitment have all helped you become businessmen and businesswomen. And today I could see firsthand that same sense of pride and accomplishment in all of you that I could see in the eyes of those small coffee farmers. So our collective challenge is to find the tools to keep that positive, productive, and progressive spirit alive. To keep the spirit alive while the economic center of gravity continues to shift, and while it searches around the globe for a new center of gravity, or a new balance point. And throughout all of that change, I firmly believe that ethical engagement must be at the core of business. And I can tell you it certainly is at Tim Hortons. Like I said in the TV spot, at Tim Hortons, we don't believe in just cutting a check and walking away. We believe in being on the ground and being fully engaged, whether it's with our extended family in Guatemala or with our team at one of our distribution centers in Guelph. Business must ultimately be about enhancing the quality of life for people while sustaining the health of our planet. And I believe that basic principles, business principles, can and should be stated that clearly. So, here are a few simple observations that have served me well over the years. First and foremost, never forget where you came from. Take the life lessons you've learned, whether it's as a janitor or whatever, and let those insights inform your judgment and worldview as you climb your career ladder. Then make sure you become a well-rounded person. 42 years ago, my first-year criminal law professor said, when you graduate, you're all going to be very busy, lots of hours every week. But remember one thing, you have not lived until you've listened to a good piece of music, read a good book, and seen a good play. So make sure that you take the time and get a full and rounded life. Next, look for the job that you love and you'll never work again. And from that perspective, I've never worked a day in my life. And I think Bill will verify that. So. And after you find that job, value every member of your team. Show them the kind of personal care and attention that my high school boss had in me. And that means never ever managing up and kicking down. And if you don't believe in that principle, please don't send your resume to Tim Hortons. Be a team player, but don't follow the herd. And that may seem a little bit of a contradiction, but what it means is watch your own moral compass, and you'll know where the turning point is between group loyalty and personal integrity. And don't forget that greed and personal ambition can blind people to what's in their own, the corporation's, and ultimately the community's best interest. Over the last several years, we've seen a number of examples of the moral, economic, and social consequences that can come by simply failing to follow that simple advice. My daughter Bailey is here with us tonight, and she recently completed her Master of Economics in New York City. And Bailey was working right there in the financial community during the meltdown. She said you could feel the herd behavior eroding judgment and destroying wealth. And for Bailey, the lesson was very clear. Making money at all costs just costs way too much. And the size of the bonus never justifies questionable means. So the bottom line is simple. Always do the right thing. And a lot of you talked about that this afternoon when you were discussing the crisis situation. Michael McCain last year was a perfect example of always doing the right thing. So I encourage you to remember those basic principles, because soon enough, all of you are going to be the ones that are in charge. Times of change like those we now face offer tremendous opportunities for innovation, collaboration, breakthrough insights, and professional success. But even beyond your incredible potential for success, I think there is another thing that makes all of you very special. And again, you displayed that today as you went through the exercise today. As I mentioned earlier, you will be the first generation of business thinkers to straddle these two economic eras. And your perspective on the nature and shape of what does come next will be especially acute and insightful. Bridging that gap in business sensibilities and in culture between what was and what will be is something this group of MBA students here is superbly positioned to do. So that's why I can stand here and say with confidence that if you find a job that offers challenge, purpose, and gives you the opportunity to make a larger contribution, you'll be successful beyond your wildest dreams. Do that, and I guarantee you'll find your calling, and you'll rise into the ranks of Canada's business leaders. And through all of that self-discovery, struggle, and accomplishment, it will feel like you've never worked a day in your life. So again, on behalf of Tim Hortons, I want to congratulate you all for a job well done, and I hope our paths meet or cross again. Thank you.
Don, I just want to thank you. It was a very inspirational speech. Thank you so much. We have a token of our appreciation that I'd like to present to you, and I'd like to call upon Bill Moore and Michelle Wetlifer, who are two of your executive team who are with you today. Just a small thank you from the FEI Toronto chapter. Michelle, Bill, would you please join us? Unfortunately, not everyone can be a winner here tonight, but I do hope all of you and all of our competitors will go home rewarded by the experience they've had here this weekend in Toronto at the Ted Rogers School of Management. Our judges had an extremely difficult task, given the high caliber of the teams that were competing again this year. And without further ado, I'm going to announce our winners. I'd first like to start with our fourth place team, who is Team Socrates from the Duchatel Faculty of Management at McGill University, our fourth place finishers. Would you please come and join me on the podium? Don Schroeder. Don, could you join me at the podium, please, and help me with these presentations? Thank you so much. I just want to acknowledge this team for one of my personal favorites today. I think that Tim Hortons is going to have to hire this team for the Tim Who expansion in the U.S. marketing strategy. I bring you the Duchatel team who brought you Tim Who. Thank you. That's the Deschantel School of Management from McGill University. Our next third place finishing team is Team Archimedes from the Sobey School of Business, St. Mary's University in Halifax. Please join me on the stage. As third place finishers, the Sobey School of Business will be sharing our third prize, which is $2,500 for their team. Team members Erica Rafuse. Erica. Ryan Mizrock. John Keatling. And James Refuge, and I think the two of you are cousins?
Yes.
Yes. Our second place team, and I'm going to ask that Brendan Moore from Ryan Property Taxes come up and join me here on the podium. We're going to present our second place and finishing first place team awards. Brendan has been a tremendous supporter of the Best in Class for the last couple of years. We're extremely grateful to Ryan Property Taxes for their support. I'm going to turn the mic over to you for a few minutes, Brendan.
Great. Good evening. I'm Brendan Moore. I'm with Ryan. We're pleased to be here this evening as a sponsor of this event. It's an extremely exciting event every year, and it just seems to be getting better. And I have the privilege this evening to present the winner, which are sitting on the judging panel today. The schools were amazing. The students were fabulous, and we greatly appreciate all your input. Thank you.
Thanks, Brendan, and thank you for your support. Well, our second place team, are you ready? Patrick Smith, Peter Lawis, Jason Fenn, and Clayton Feck from Curry, Team Curry, the Ivy School of Business, the University of Western Ontario. Our second place team goes home with $5,000 and, of course, a wonderful experience. Well, I guess that only leaves one team. That's Team Aristotle from the DeGroote School of Business, and I just want to say DeGroot is a first-time competitor at the Best in Class competition. We're extremely proud of your first place position. Shivalaka Handa, Peter Bakos, Moshin Dezarian, and Sharif Masoud. Please come and join us. Our first place team goes home with $10,000, and we have invited them to join us at our national conference for the Financial Executives International Canada. It'll be held in Victoria next June, so we hope to see them all there again, networking with about 500 or so of our senior financial executives. We look forward to that. Thank you so much. What a great competition. Now, not only do they get $10,000 and all this recognition, but they get glory and fame too. Thanks to our media sponsor, National Post. We will have an announcement of our winners in the National Post next Wednesday, so please look for it. And they will have our team winners. Thank you. I'd just like to say in closing, my congratulations to all of the winning teams. You've truly distinguished yourselves as best in class. And thank you to all of the student participants who contributed to yet another very successful best in class competition. You student competitors today have demonstrated the qualities of business leadership that will serve them well in their future careers and leave me feeling tremendously confident in the next generation of our country's business leaders. I thank you all for coming tonight. I wish you a good evening and a safe home. Thank you.
Don't move. I'm going to hijack the microphone for a moment before Judy moves. I just want you to know, on behalf of all of us, our chief cheerleader, organizer, mentor, Judy Monroe, I have a special little presentation to you on behalf of everyone in this room tonight, and it's a lovely Cymbidium orchid and a square, tall vase. I'll give it to you right now.
Thank
and
you.
also, Liz Boel, please come to the stage too. Liz, a moth orchid. Thank you. Anyway, thank you both. We couldn't have done it without the support of both of you.
Thank
on
you.
behalf of all of you, two cheerleaders. Good.
Thank you. And now you can go home. Good night.